EnergyWeb is a global organization focused on accelerating the energy transition away from an economy that's powered by centralized fossil fuel power plants and towards an economy that's powered by efficiency and renewables. What's different about EnergyWeb compared to a lot of other organizations that do similar work is that we do that by building this open source technology stack and then using that to bring enterprise software solutions to market that are all focused on decarbonization. And since our founding back in about 2017, we really started off EnergyWeb as more of a research and development project focused on a more specific question, which was how can specifically blockchain and other Web3 technologies be used in that fight, in that mission to accelerate decarbonization? But we're here in 2023, and really we as an organization have zeroed in on two very specific sets of problems that we solve with our technology.
Welcome to DHN Crypto. On this channel, we focus on global crypto adoption with an added global perspective. If you enjoy unbiased, fact-based crypto content, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. You'll never know which project I'll cover next. In this video, founder and CEO of EnergyWeb token Jesse Morris breaks down the purpose of EnergyWeb, how it works, and what to expect from the chain in 2023.
So the first problem is about the grid. Basically, I'm sure we have people listening from many different time zones and many different electric markets around the world. Basically, the first challenge we solve is that right now the grid is basically balanced by having these large centralized power plants basically ramp their power production up or down to match demand for electricity from all of our devices, from all the buildings that power the economy. What we're moving to is a world in which instead of using those resources, we can actually use things like electric vehicles, batteries, heat pumps, solar panels, smart inverters, and other devices, network millions, eventually billions of those things together, and use those to balance the grid instead of these large thermal power plants. And in our world, we enable that to happen. We make it possible for some of the world's biggest energy companies to communicate with all of those different devices, and for those devices to be able to exchange data with each other in support of that kind of new way of balancing the grid. So that's the first problem we solve as an organization. And then the second one is a little bit different, and it's really focused on supply chains. So if you look at the broad umbrella of climate change and the energy transition, there are a number of new products and commodities that are coming to market that are really key to solving climate change. Some examples that we'll speak about more, I think, today, Daniel, are 24/7 matched renewables. I'll explain that concept in a minute. Things like sustainable aviation fuel, so fuel that powers planes that comes from sources other than oil. Green steel, so steel made from green power. Green hydrogen, hydrogen made from green inputs. All of those different supply chains are new, and they really do not have any uniform standard way of being tracked or traced. So that's the second challenge that we solve, is providing energy companies with tools to track and trace those new commodities. So that's really the what of what we do. Before we talk about tech or anything, that's what we do. Give utilities a different way of communicating with all these devices to balance the grid. And then on the other side, make it easy for market participants to track and trace all of these burgeoning supply chains and products that are key to the energy transition. So our technology stack is this thing called the EnergyWeb Decentralized Operating System. And this stack is a combination of multiple open source standards, traditional information technologies, and then multiple Web3 technologies and architectures, including blockchain, cryptocurrency, so in our case, the EnergyWeb token, and this concept we'll speak a little bit more about, self-sovereign digital identity. And in our world, those are all Web3 technologies and concepts. So we've built this stack based on requirements that we've gathered from these different customers over the past 5 years in our ecosystem. And then what we do is we take that stack and we configure it to run different applications around the world for these different customers. We use blockchains as an anchor for digital identities. So if you look at the use cases I described, cars, solar panels, wind farms, people, businesses that we work with, they all get a digital identity that is anchored to a blockchain. And that becomes kind of the source of identity and access management for all these different players to access these software solutions. We use a standard developed by the W3C consortia, which was one of the consortia really behind, frankly, even the TCP/IP protocol on the internet. And they've convened around something called the Decentralized Identifier Standard. So this is just a standard for a different sort of identity management system, whereby, you know, right now, Daniel, if you or I use single sign-on via Google or via Facebook to go onto a vendor's shop to buy something, that identity, right, where we actually click on something and it signs us in, you and I do not control that identity. The other Web 2 giants control it. In the example I offered, Google and Facebook. Self-sovereign identity basically flips that on its head. So that's where I own my identity. I have a public-private key pair, and the private key of that pair is mine. And I can use that identity to sign transactions, to enable others to get my data on a permission basis. So the concept of self-sovereign identity is really interesting for the energy sector because it has a significant cybersecurity benefit versus the alternative, which is basically having a third party be the central point of managing all these different identities. We use blockchains and cryptocurrency, again, in our case, the EnergyWeb token, to actually just increase the cybersecurity of our entire stack and all our solutions. So for example, this year, our solutions are going to be connected and powered by these decentralized networks of nodes, and all of those networks will have staked EnergyWeb tokens against them. And I'll talk more about this topic in just a moment. But at the end of the day, the concept is by connecting our stack and all of the solutions used by enterprises in our ecosystem to networks where a lot of economic value is staked, we can actually increase the cybersecurity of all of these solutions by making it more expensive to go after them. And frankly speaking, doing that, it'd be really hard to do that without this combination of crypto, public blockchains, and staking. Now, finally, the third kind of way that we really use Web3 and blockchain, and I need to be careful here because this is the newest concept, but and I get really excited talking about it and I need to slow down. But basically, we use blockchains and decentralized tech architectures to launch what we are now officially calling green proof networks. And for my seat, this is probably the most compelling use of Web3 tech for enterprises in any sector, not just energy, that we've found since I started EnergyWeb in 2017, this concept of these green proof networks. So I'd actually like to spend just a second explaining how these work, because this is a new concept for our ecosystem, but it's really important because it's going to be a big focus for us this year. So basically, each one of these green proof networks is performing what I would call useful work for energy companies. All blockchains perform work, right? They're doing something. The Bitcoin network is performing the work of securing the Bitcoin blockchain. The EnergyWeb chain is sealing blocks that energy companies put data and other information into. What I'm talking about here is green proof networks that perform specific work that can be tailored to different use cases. So basically, each one of these individual green proof networks, they're comprised of a number of decentralized nodes that are running a shared protocol that executes a specific business function. Let me give two examples tied directly to solutions that are running in the field today. So the first one is this concept of 24/7 matched renewables. So before the tech, just what does that mean? Lots of big corporates are moving to a world in which they want their electric consumption to be covered by renewables 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that might sound obvious to some of our listeners, but the way that many corporates decarbonize their electric load right now is they buy these things called certificates that represent units of energy produced by a power plant somewhere in the world. And basically at the end of the year, and I'm grossly simplifying, if there's any ESG consultants on the line right now, they're going to roast me for this, but that's okay. They basically say our business used this many units of energy for the year, and we've purchased this many certificates. Thank you very much, right? This 24/7 world's totally different. Imagine if you could see a business and they could show every 5 minutes exactly how much electricity they were using and where renewables for that use was coming from. A battery over here, a solar panel over here, a wind turbine over here. So this concept of 24/7 matching is becoming quite popular. Here's the trick. Most of the time, those 24/7 solutions, how do you know that that matching is taking place? How do you know that that data center is actually being powered by those different power plants besides a dashboard on a website that's controlled by some large internet company? You can't verify that. That's where this green-proof network comes in. So what we've done is taken that 24/7 concept, and now the matching is being performed. So the matching between generators, renewable energy generators over here, and businesses with electric load over here, that matching is being conducted by one of these green-proof networks. So now you can actually see the proof about where all of that renewable energy matching is taking place by looking at this green-proof network. So again, the work in that example is these nodes that, by the way, and we'll explain this in a minute, have staked EnergyWeb tokens. They are performing work, in this case, matching 24/7 renewables. And it's being performed by that green-proof network, and an enterprise is paying for it.